information to you. And then after that, we received, more information. We kind of concluded that the neighborhood association, the neighborhood leaders, are in opposition of preserving the Cab Calloway house. HCD and even the planning department have worked for a couple of years to make a park out of this. We heard that information too. So, but we also heard from the other folks about how important this building is. And I just wanted to let you know what I've received in the last 4 weeks here is I have here two petitions. One of them is about 1,600 signatures from pretty much around the world. A lot of lovers of Cab Calloway. And then I have another one for about, I think it's approximately 120 signatures. And that's just sort of approximate right there. The other thing is we received from Reba Hawkins a packet with requests to put on the potential landmark and save the building, and also a handful of emails in support of preserving and saving the building. So with those two, but I think what I want to get to, what I think is the most compelling piece of it, I received a letter from, a letter from Mr. Peter Brooks, and he had a lot of information and 3 or 4 arguments of why it's important to save the Cab Calloway. If you're interested, I can tell you. But I also received a letter from Professor, let me see if I got it right, I think find it real quick. Professor Dennis Patrick Halpins, and he just wrote an incredible book. I love talking about books. His book is called A Brotherhood of Liberty, Black Reconstruction and Its Legacies in Baltimore, 1865 and 1820. This book is about the Mutual United Brotherhood of Liberty, and I wish Commissioner Gibson was here because he knows 18 times more than I do about this group. But this group was basically, in my understanding, it created the model that the NAACP Legal Defense Fund used. These were the guys that back in the 1880s were taking to court civil rights cases to court and actually winning in some of these court cases and really using the courts and civil disobedience for civil rights. It started in Baltimore. This is a Baltimore story that has national implications. And the reasons why I brought this up, because we just found out that the last president of the Mutual United Brotherhood of Liberty was a guy named Andrew J. Reed, and he was the grandfather of Cab Calloway and Blanche Calloway. Now, here's where it gets interesting, is in Cab Calloway's autobiography, he states that he and Blanche and his family went to live with his grandparents. So this could also be the house of Mr. Andrew J. Reed that has significant associations with the Mutual United Brotherhood of Liberty. So that's the new sort of information that we have here on this. Also, if I can find another letter from Cecilia Calloway, and she's the chief executive of the Calloway Legacy Preservation Project, but she's also the daughter of Cab Calloway, the sister of Cam A. Murphy, our friend Cam A. Murphy. So, and she wrote to ask for preservation. So, that's new information on this. I think where we are now, I don't know if I don't want to put Kate on the spot, but I probably will. But I think that we're probably 30 to 60 days away from HCD receiving all approvals to start demolition. So that's sort of where we are right now.
So one thing that might be a nice stopgap measure is clearly there's a lot of new information that we're on the process that further bolsters the case for designation is we can prepare a letter and send it to Commissioner Braverman asking for a 90-day extension, say no action to be taken for 90 days to allow folks additional time to gather the information to help support this application. And at that point, then nothing had happened for 3 months. It gives everyone time to get their facts aligned here. which is not likely to happen in the next couple months, given the winter months anyway, but have that agreement that no action will be taken, give us time to properly consider the competing interests between the community organization that is not supportive of this, and clearly at least 1,700 people from around the world who took the time to sign a petition to designate the property.
I would also just like to state too that I did receive from a developer a packet, and I did pass that packet on. It was a pro forma and a redevelopment project, and I did pass it on to the commissioner of Director Ryer from Planning Department and Commissioner Braverman, and I haven't heard anything from them. So I don't know if that was, I'm not an expert in development and pro formas. It was thick, and I thought it looked good, but I wanted to pass it on to
Heather's always important for performance.
We received that as well. And, well, just because of the prior plans and our work with the community, and we've been in discussions with the community, and they've consistently said that they want to see the park project, and that's what they're still saying. We did not accept the application for the properties, and if we were gonna sell the properties, we would put it through a competitive process, so we would go through an RFP process.
Given the timing, the fact this has not been a posted item, so we really can't take any direct action on this, but is the commission supportive of writing a letter to Commissioner Braverman asking for a deferral of any action for 90 days, and we'll follow up in the next month or two?
Absolutely.
Yes, all the way around, no oppositions. Consider that to be so
there it is.
you're
That's the word that I'm looking for.
Not that we're taking a vote, but duly noted that you were not taking a position on this. All right, so Mr. Holcomb, you will prepare said letter.
Said letter will go out tomorrow morning.
If it pleases the commission, we do have people that have traveled to present, if they may have just a few minutes. I'll defer my comments, which you have in writing.
That's fine. Sure, we can offer a few minutes, because I do appreciate the folks coming down here. I do also want to acknowledge that we're 15 minutes over time to start anyway, so if you could keep it brief, it'd be fantastic. Very much appreciate that.
Okay. Good afternoon, esteemed board members of the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. My name is Reba Hawkins, and I'm a proud Baltimorean mother, businesswoman, activist, and candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, 7th Congressional District, seat of Maryland. My reason for addressing you today is to urge you to designate the residence of Cab and Blanche Calloway, located at 2216 Druid Hill Avenue, as a historic landmark. Hitherto, the necessary political and civic capital to preserve an important legacy has been lacking. On behalf of millions of fans and thousands of residents of Baltimore, and our wonderful late and beloved Mayor and Governor William Donald Schaefer, who dreamed of harnessing Charm City's history and lore to draw tourists, inspire enterprise, and rekindle civic pride and revitalization. Cab Calloway's footprint in the world of arts and entertainment is incalculable and great, and the ability of his story to motivate and inspire is greater. Baltimore needs to be as proud of its Cab Callaways of the past as of its Ravens of today. One very important reason that the home must be preserved is because we must expand the scope and scale and breadth of how we rebuild our city. At present, the Inner Harbor, arguably the jewel of the last 40 years of urban development, is underperforming because fewer people feel safe traveling through a city that they fear and feel unsafe. New beachheads for redevelopment, revitalization, civic engagement, and cultural historical preservation are necessary to encourage economic growth, to anchor transitional communities, to increase property values, improve community services, and to beautify and restore local confidence. Saving Cab Calloway's home is essential to changing the fortune of Baltimore. That's why I stand here today with the family of Cab Calloway to support this historic designation as a landmark. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, esteemed board, chaps, and everyone here. I'm Dr. Randy Short. I'm a descendant of Nicholas Gassaway, the founder of the Maryland Colonial Guard in 1651. In his memory, and all the generations that have succeeded, we need to preserve the history of the city. Cab Calloway comes once in a millennium. It's irreplaceable and it's important. When we have a president who trashes this city and its people, we need to defy this by putting up memorials that we are not only great, but we've been great a long time before certain people got in office. I urge you, and the many groups that I participate in, the Apostolic Pentecostal Friendship, which includes Bishop Showell here of First Apostolic, and the Bible Way and Way of the Cross churches, as well as the African Orthodox Church, for which I participate. I'm urging you that Baltimore needs hope. Knocking down something like this house would be the equivalent of having a wrecking ball hit the manger in which our Savior was born. There's not one person walking the earth today that's going to turn on their cell phone or radio or television and not hear some kind of music or a lexicon that wasn't influenced by the history and lore that Cab Calloway gave to the rest of the world. I respect the people of the Druid Hill community, but I believe because they have not seen the kind of hope that they may be and short-sighted and an emotional clamor to knock something down that they might regret later, let cooler heads prevail. And I pray that you do stick to this discussion of asking for an extension on time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, folks. My name's Reba Hawkins. We're not related that I know, but we might be. So today, I appreciate you guys doing this. I've been fighting, I don't know how long, just to get an audience. I met with Mr. Holcomb. That proposal we spoke of was mine. I met with Miss Edwards. Not such a warm reception, but she wasn't really bad either. So here's the situation. The city has been asked to spend approximately $500,000 to demolish an iconic home. $500,000. And then they want, this is Druid Heights, then they want perpetual care while they set a baseball throw for me to the second largest park in the country. Do we need another park, or do we need some economic development? My plan says, sell those bricks to me because that's all they amount to. Most of those homes have trees growing on them. They don't have floors in them. They have outside facades, and they have interior structured walls that haven't been compromised. I can save them. I'm projecting an $8 million economic impact. I put it on every desk in this city, the mayor, the city council, vacants to value, and I have yet to be given 10 minutes time where we sit down and tear that proposal apart. Mr. Holcomb did it for me, and I think he was quite impressed because he then took it upstairs to Mr. Braverman. I still don't have it. We like it, we don't like it. It's 5 inches thick. It took months to put that together. Now, why would you spend $500,000 to tear down an icon when you can't keep your kids in school because it's too hot? You can't keep them in school because it's too cold. You want to spend that kind of money and you can't keep your children in school, and I'm giving you $8 million in projected revenue, and I can't get the time of day. Why is that?
Yeah.
I mean, why isn't someone saying, let's tear that apart? Let's find out if the instrument that I have in that briefcase that says I have $2,151,000 to facilitate that project has never been vetted, has never been looked at. No one's ever said, where'd your money come from? Do you know what you're doing? Why? Don't you think we should have that 90-day proposal, that extension, to find out if what we're doing is proper? That's all I'm asking you to do. Look at it. And I'm not going to take much more of your time. There's a lot of people in this room. I don't really like public speaking. I like to get back to what I'm doing. I'm going to take my suit off and put on some construction clothes and go finish working in Druid Heights. I have several properties over there, and I work in them every day. I get cars cut up. I've had homes broken into. I actually got shot at 4 times, and that's on record because we boarded up a stash house and didn't know it. We encroached on the D Block gang. Anybody want to Google that? Feel free. Those are the people running the backside of Druid Heights. They don't want anything to do with me. I'm encroaching on their territory, and I'm changing the dynamic of what's going on. And I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep trying. There's more property over there to fix. 2200 block happens to hold this man's grandfather's home. I didn't know that. It's just a pile of bricks to me. I didn't know that. Now I know it. His grandfather was my father's friend. When he came to town, he couldn't stay any place. He stayed in my house because we lived in a segregated society then. They went to Nate's and Leon's. And after Nate's and Leon's, they went to the Pimlico Hotel. I played in those alleys. Why are we tearing down? Look at me. I'm a product of the Druid Heights community.
So I think I very much appreciate you coming in. Like I said, you're going to take the very action you're asking, ask for
Thank you.
90-day deferral, and we'll tear into it.
Yeah, thank you. Eric, you still have your copy? Yes? No? I'll give you another one.
Yeah, you have to.
I got one I'll copy for you.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you, folks.
the daughter of Mr. Cab Calloway, Mrs. Cecilia Calloway.
Good afternoon. I will not take much of your time. I'm taking this opportunity to speak to you, not only in reference to my dad and to my aunt, but in reference to all of the children, that it is our duty and responsibility to give them hope, to give them something that is authentic. It has to come from the inside out. And by having the restoration of my dad's and my aunt's home, let me make this clear, first of all, real quick. My dad had 5 daughters, okay? He had a tribe of girls. He didn't have any boys at all. And all of us had boys. That there seems to be, it's been brought to my attention, that many of the reasons why this is not moving forward is because people are under the impression that the whole Calloway family, that they're working with the Calloway family, and the Calloway family totally and completely supports the demolition of the homestead on Druid Hill Avenue. That is not true. I'm a daughter, I am an heir, and I have a say-so. And for you to form an opinion in reference to what the family wants and keep using that as something that is deterring the accomplishment of this project is wrong. And we're not serving the purpose that we need to serve, which is our children. Wow, can you imagine something that they can put their little hands on, that they can imagine, what happened in this property? We can make it into a learning center, to a community center, something that's theirs, instead of what's going on around them. What do they have to look forward to? That's our responsibility. All we're asking is we have a little more time before you go ahead and do what you feel is the right thing to do. Let it all be explained. Just a little more time. And please give it just a little bit more attention.
And we are very supportive.
Okay, howdy ho, fellow.
I'm going to be really, really quick. My name is Matthew Benishevitz. I've owned a record store in the city for 8 years and sold music for 20 years. And among music lovers, his influence and legacy is absolutely undeniable.
Amen.
And it's undoubtable. And you can still feel that when you have conversations with my own customers and other music lovers at record shows or wherever we gather. So I also support the 90 extra days that was proposed. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
And I will reserve my comments to just one statement that I hope you all carry with you as you leave here. My name is Peter Brooks. I am Cab Calloway's grandson. And I would just like to point out to the commission and to everyone who hears my voice that if you proceed with the demolition of this house, in consideration of its role in Native American history, women's history, and African American history, you will preside over what is probably the single largest extinction of American heritage known to man. There's so much history in that house, and we're just getting to the surface of it. You would live with that for the rest of your lives. And I implore you, therefore, to allow us time.
We've directed the executive director to write the letter, and we'll let you know how things go. So with that, we are actually going to get started half an hour late, but give us 3 minutes to get everything fired up, get the microphone started, tape started, and we will go into session at 1:30.